The steps to becoming Batman are simple. Acquire fancy gadgets, wear a nifty costume. That's it. You don't even need superpowers. So as far as I'm concerned, these are all legitimate Batmans. Or Batman. You get the point.
Because besides laws against vigilantes, there's really nothing stopping someone from putting on a Batman costume and fighting crime. So in theory, anyone can be Batman.
No. I mean, Bruce Wayne's just a really smart dude with a bunch of money who can afford to build Batman gadgets.
Now, I don't have a bunch of money, but I have a high school education and I can build stuff, kinda. So to prove that anyone can be Batman,
I'm going to become Robin. Ha, psych. Nobody wants to be Robin. Come on, I'm gonna be Batman. All right, so here's what I got. The first thing on my list was to eat breakfast, but I already did that. So the next thing on my list was to buy a Batman suit. Perfect.
So while I wait for that to come in the mail, I gotta build some Batman gadgets.
But the biggest question was, what gadgets do I build? Batman has an extensive catalog of gizmos in his tool belt.
And there's no way a non-fiction version of Batman can hold them all. So personally, anytime I think of Batman, besides the Batmobile, the two main gadgets that come to mind are of course the grapnel hook and my personal favorite, the Batarang. And the Batarang is by far the coolest adaptation of the throwing star that I've ever seen.
So before I got started on the grappling hook, I wanted to build some Batarangs first. I bought some rubber toy Batarangs so I could perfectly trace the design on a piece of sheet metal and cut it out.
Which raises a pretty big problem. Cutting metal with this precision is really difficult without a laser cutter. And I don't have a laser cutter because they're really expensive. So I gotta figure out how to cut this design out with bulky power tools.
Now I was able to chop away a little at a time until I could separate the three Batarangs, and once I could work with one at a time, I managed to get the bulk of the cutting done.
So I made it as far as I could with the grinder, and I think I gotta move on to the Dremel.
Normally a Dremel tool is perfect for small detailed cuts like this, but unfortunately this metal was a little too thick for it and I wasn't really getting anywhere.
This is pathetic.
I was gonna have to find another way, but luckily I had one more trick up my sleeve. This was perfect. Not only was I able to get all the details I needed, but I was able to sharpen the edges and points too.
All right, these are looking sick. They are razor sharp, but before I try these out, I wanna throw a coat of paint on them. And while I wait for this to dry, I'm gonna work on that grappling hook.
I didn't think I would have much luck finding something that would act as a hook lying around the shop, so I decided to get this grappling hook off Amazon. I wasn't sure how I felt about trusting a $30 grappling hook with my life, but I didn't really have another option. I quickly realized that my hand-eye coordination was absolutely horrendous.
Ah, yeah.
Whoa. It took me 87 tries to get a successful throw. And once I landed a good one, I ran into another issue.
Can't even wait on this thing. This rope is horrible. Okay, so this rope is so thin, I can't grab onto it. And when I wrap it around my hand, it literally feels like it's gonna rip my hand off. So that's not gonna work.
Now I know this just seems like a small bump in the road, but this really wasn't good. Because as much as I'd like to believe I'm becoming Batman just to prove a point, the truth is, there's another reason I have to become Batman. A darker reason. A more Batmanier reason. You see, the city I know as home is teetering on the brink of total disaster, just barely bracing ourselves for an inevitable crime wave.
Hello and welcome.
Dark times are coming for the town Jake lives in,
with reports of jaywalking, littering,
and misuse of turn signals.
Authorities say they need to focus their efforts elsewhere.
But who will save our city from these petty crimes?
Jake Carlini.
Jake Carlini?
Jake Carlini.
Jake Carlini could be the hero this city needs.
So yeah, you heard the man. My city's in trouble, and it's up to me to save it. And so far, my grappling hook was an utter failure.
But luckily, these Batarangs are dry and ready to try out.
These things came out sick, and they were perfectly balanced.
I gotta find something to throw these at.
Now, it wouldn't be a good idea to throw them at the wall, but I had something else in mind.
So let's just say some psychotic clown enthusiast starts terrorizing my town. We'll call him the Jokester. I find myself in a tussle with this guy. I can't be blindly whipping Batarangs around. I'm gonna have to be a sharpshooter with these things.
I started by standing about 10 feet away from the target, and I couldn't get anything to stick. But once I got the throwing technique down, I was more consistent.
So I missed, but it went right into the wood. Man, these things are the real deal.
The more I practiced, the better I got. Like Elmer Einstein always said, practice makes good.
Yeah!
Once I got a bunch of consecutive solid shots, it was time to test my distance throwing. From 15 feet away,
yes!
And then 20 feet away.
All right, I think I've practiced enough. It's time for a harder challenge.
A melon, the perfect target. I took my position, locked my eyes on the target, and...
Yes! An absolute perfect shot. I'm not gonna hit this anymore because I'm gonna eat it, but I have one more challenge for myself.
An apple. If I could hit this small of a target, I was confident that I could hit anything.
totally sliced right through it. I was not expecting that at all. What?
I did it. I was one step closer to becoming Batman. I was going to be the hero my city needed after all. But I still wasn't ready. There was so much work left to do. Batman is extremely limited without his grappling hook, so I had to figure it out. Cause after all, if you can't walk up walls, then you're not even Batman. So after thinking about it for several minutes, I had an idea.
If I attach a winch kind of like this to my body, I won't have to hold the rope.
So I went out and bought the smallest winch I could find.
So I'm thinking I'll figure out a way to attach this thing to my arm.
So I would have to make some sort of gauntlet. And I've never really built this type of thing before, so of course the first thing I came up with was ridiculous and definitely wouldn't work. This was gonna take some real imagination.
I have an idea. I have no idea if it's gonna work, but I gotta try.
The idea is to take this PVC pipe and saw it down the middle, creating a perfect gauntlet for my arm to fit in.
But as you can see, my elbow doesn't really want to go in. So we're gonna cut my elbow off. What? No. What? Oh, we're gonna cut this off. I guess that makes more sense.
So I fixed that. Then I just needed to attach some arm straps, bolt the winch on there, and test its strength.
So it passed the stress test and it's on my arm pretty securely. I will say it's really uncomfortable. And I don't think my shoulder's gonna be able to handle my whole body weight.
I wasn't 100% confident in this design, but I really wasn't sure on how to fix it yet. So for now, I'm gonna add some power. And I know nothing about electricity or wiring, so I was a little intimidated. But after messing around for a while, I figured out where all the wires go.
Connected and... Yo, okay.
So now that I had power, I had to see what it could do.
Yes! Yes! All right.
So I know that it works, and it looks ridiculously awesome, but I just really didn't trust this wall walking technique.
Okay, ow, okay.
There was no way. If I tried to walk up a wall with this setup, I would definitely dislocate my shoulder. I was embarrassed. I was really banking on this design working out.
Maybe I was just never meant to be Batman. Batman.
I arrived home that evening to find a suspicious package outside my door, which turned out to be not suspicious at all because it was the Batman suit that I ordered. For a second I thought, maybe I didn't need the gadgets. Maybe I could be a hero without them. So I suited up and hit the town to see if I could help. I got out there and realized that things were much worse than I thought.
The city's water supply. It tastes bad.
There was litter everywhere.
Ridiculous.
I was harassed by some kids.
Hey!
And worst of all, someone stole my car.
He got away. I need my gadgets. I can't work like this.
Part of me felt like I didn't deserve to wear this suit. Like I wasn't worthy of being Batman. Besides the Batarangs, which are wicked cool, I couldn't even get my Batman gadgets to work properly. I was no Batman. I was a disappointment. And just when I was about to quit and take the easy route of becoming Robin, I remembered why I was doing this to begin with. I had to prove a point that anyone could be Batman. Prove a point? That's you talking. I thought you were trying to save the town. Nay, I only said that so you guys would think I was cool. The truth is, I just wanted cool Batman gear so bad that I made up this whole story to justify building it. But Jake, what about that detailed crime graph? I made that myself in Microsoft Paint. But Jake, what about the news segments? 3 words, paid actors, buddy.
All right, I've got my battery in the backpack and the wires running out to the arm. And lastly, I've got the gauntlet attached to the backpack to stop my arm from coming forward.
By using a remote in my gauntlet hand, I was able to control the winch to lower myself and pull myself back up.
Tying the gauntlet to the backpack was definitely the right idea, but this isn't really designed to carry that much weight. So I bought a harness. This is actually meant for climbing. Another issue is that this cable is not very good for what I'm trying to do.
Because this cable was made of metal, it was really stiff. Plus, I couldn't get my grappling hook on there.
So I got this other rope that's way better.
So I created a strap to hold the winch and the backpack to the harness. Then I replaced the cable, and it was finally ready.
There's only one thing left to do.
Walk up a wall. I had the perfect wall in mind, and it was over 20 feet tall. But before I did that, I had to be sure that this was safe. First, I took down a couple rotting trees, which was way too much fun. Yes. Then I was ready for the first official climb test.
So now that we know we can climb a tree, can I walk up a wall?
Now, I'm not sure why, but for some reason, this was way more intimidating than the tree. But that wasn't gonna stop me. I was confident in my creation.
This actually works! Yeah!
I was getting more comfortable and having a ton of fun. But this climb was only 10 feet high. I had yet to face the real challenge. I had yet to become Batman.
Jake, you're about to climb some serious wall, dude.
Yeah.
Now this was intense. I was experiencing a whole new level of fear. I was face to face with this massive wall, and it was up to me to conquer it and prove myself as Batman. I started by taking some baby steps forward. With a 40-pound battery strapped to my back and a 30-pound grappling machine strapped to my arm, I was trusting my build to carry almost 300 pounds up this 20-foot wall. The fear was leaving my body, and the blood of a hero was coursing through me.
Yeah!
I did it.
Dude, I am way up here. This is insane.
I became Batman, and more importantly, I told you so, anyone can be Batman.
That's all I got.